Welcome. Today we explore a simple truth. Money begins in the mind. Your thoughts create your future. Let's transform your thinking today.
Money begins in the mind. Before you make money, you must understand money. There is a strange thing about money. Almost everyone wants more of it. We want financial freedom. We want a comfortable home, a secure future, the ability to help our families, travel without constantly worrying about expenses, and the freedom to make choices without asking, "Can I afford this?" But while almost everyone wants more money, very few people spend enough time understanding their relationship with it. We learn mathematics in school. We learn history, science, and language. But most of us are never taught how money actually works. We are rarely taught how to think about money. And that matters. Because before money becomes a number in your bank account, it is an idea in your mind. Your beliefs influence your decisions. Your decisions create your habits. Your habits influence your results. And your results eventually shape your financial life. This is why money begins in the mind. That doesn't mean simply thinking positively will make you rich. It won't. You cannot sit on your sofa, imagine $1 million, and expect money to magically appear. Real financial progress requires knowledge, discipline, skills, patience, work, and sometimes a little luck. But your mindset determines whether you are willing to develop those things. Your financial future doesn't begin with a bank account. It begins with the way you think. Chapter 1. The money story you inherited. Every person has a money story. You may not remember when yours began, but it probably started when you were a child. Maybe you grew up hearing, "Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. People like us will never become wealthy. Just get a stable job. Don't take risks. Money causes problems." Or perhaps you heard something completely different. Maybe your parents talked openly about saving and investing. Maybe they encouraged you to build businesses. Maybe money was never discussed at all. Whatever the environment, you absorbed ideas about money. And many of those ideas quietly became beliefs. The problem is that not every belief you inherited is necessarily true. A belief can be familiar without being correct. Perhaps you believe that making money is extremely difficult. Perhaps you believe that only highly educated people can become wealthy. Perhaps you believe that you need a large amount of money before you can start. Perhaps you believe that you are simply bad with money. These beliefs can become invisible walls. And sometimes the biggest financial obstacle isn't a lack of opportunity. It's the belief that opportunity doesn't exist. So ask yourself, what did I learn about money while growing up? What did my family believe about wealthy people? What did I believe about people who took financial risks? Did I learn to save? Did I learn to spend? Did I learn to invest? Did I learn to create value? Or did I simply learn to earn and consume? There is no shame in your past. Your financial starting point is not your financial destination. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can rewrite the story you tell yourself about tomorrow. Chapter 2. Scarcity or possibility. There are two very different ways people can look at money. One is through scarcity. The other is through possibility. A scarcity mindset says, there isn't enough. If someone wins, someone else must lose. I'll never have enough. I can't do anything because I don't have money. A possibility mindset asks different questions. How can I increase my income? What skill could I develop? What problem could I solve? How can I create something people value? How can I use the resources I already have? Notice the difference. One mindset focuses on what is missing. The other focuses on what can be created. This doesn't mean pretending financial difficulties don't exist. They do. Bills are real. Debt is real. Unemployment is real. Economic inequality is real. Unexpected emergencies happen. But even when circumstances are difficult, your mind can still ask, what can I control? That question is powerful. You may not control the economy. You may not control other people's decisions. You may not control where you started. But you can control what you learn. You can control how you spend. You can control whether you develop useful skills. You can control whether you look for opportunities. You can control whether you keep improving. And sometimes financial transformation begins with one simple shift. Instead of asking, why don't I have enough money? Start asking, what can I do to become more valuable? Chapter 3. Money is a tool, not a personality. Money is neither good nor evil. It is a tool. A hammer can build a house. It can also destroy something. The tool isn't the character. The person using it matters. Money works the same way. Money can provide comfort. It can also create stress. Money can support education. It can also support irresponsible behavior. Money can help families. It can also destroy relationships when handled badly. So don't make money your identity. Having money doesn't make someone superior. Lacking money doesn't make someone inferior. Your bank balance is a number. Your character is something much deeper. But understanding money is still important because money affects many areas of life. It affects choices. It affects opportunities. It affects security. It affects time. And when you learn to manage it properly, money can become a tool for building the life you value. The goal shouldn't simply be, I want to become rich. Ask a deeper question. Why do I want money? Maybe you want freedom. Maybe you want security. Maybe you want to support your parents. Maybe you want to build a business. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to give to others. Maybe you simply want to stop living with constant financial anxiety. Your reason matters. Because when your financial goals are connected to a meaningful purpose, discipline becomes easier. Chapter 4. Earn more, but also become more valuable. Many people want to make more money, but they don't ask an important question. Why should someone pay me more? Income is often connected to value. If you solve a problem, create something useful, save someone time, entertain people, teach something, improve a process, or provide a service people genuinely need, you create value. And value can be exchanged for money. This is why one of the best investments you can make is an investment in yourself. Learn. Read. Practice. Experiment. Improve. Develop communication skills. Learn technology. Learn sales. Learn writing. Learn design. Learn marketing. Learn financial literacy. Learn how businesses work. You don't need to master everything. Choose one useful skill. Then become better at it. Imagine two people. The first person spends every evening scrolling through social media. The second person spends 1 hour learning a skill. After one evening, the difference is almost invisible. After 1 year, it can be enormous. This is the power of compound growth. Not only money compounds. Knowledge compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Reputation compounds. Discipline compounds. Your small actions today may become your opportunities tomorrow. Chapter 5. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. One of the most expensive beliefs is, I'll start when I'm ready. You may never feel ready. You may not have enough money. You may not know everything. You may be afraid. You may worry about failure. But waiting has a cost too. The person who waits forever never learns what could have happened. Start small. If you want to start a business, research first. If you want to become a writer, write 1 page. If you want to learn investing, study before investing. If you want to create content, publish your first piece. If you want a better career, learn a valuable skill. Small beginnings are not embarrassing. They are beginnings. A tree begins with a seed. A journey begins with a step. A business can begin with one customer. A book can begin with one sentence. A new financial life can begin with one decision. Don't underestimate small beginnings. Chapter 6. The difference between looking rich and becoming wealthy. Modern society makes this distinction difficult. We see expensive cars, luxury homes, designer clothes, exotic vacations, beautiful restaurants, and we assume they must be wealthy. But appearance isn't wealth. Someone can look financially successful while being deeply in debt. Another person may live simply while quietly building financial security. The difference is important. Looking rich focuses on consumption. Building wealth focuses on ownership, savings, skills, productive assets, and long-term financial stability. This doesn't mean you should never enjoy your money. Enjoyment is part of life. The problem begins when consumption becomes more important than stability. Ask yourself before spending, am I buying something I truly value? Or am I buying something because I want other people to think differently about me? Sometimes we don't purchase things because we need them. We purchase them because we want recognition. But approval is an expensive product, and it never stays satisfied. There will always be someone with a bigger house, a newer phone, a more expensive car, a more luxurious vacation. If your happiness depends on being ahead of everyone else, you will never arrive. Financial peace often comes from knowing what is enough for you. Chapter 7. The habit of saving. Saving money is not exciting. There are no glamorous advertisements for it. Nobody posts a picture saying, "Look at the money I didn't spend today." But saving is powerful. Saving creates breathing room. It gives you options. Without savings, every unexpected expense can become a crisis. With savings, you have a buffer. Start with whatever is realistic for your situation. Even a small amount matters because you are developing a habit. The amount may change over time. The habit is what matters. Think of saving as paying your future self. When your income arrives, don't allow every rupee to immediately find something to purchase. Create a system. Income comes in. Necessary expenses are handled. Savings are set aside. Then discretionary spending happens within limits. The exact system will depend on your income and circumstances. But the principle is simple. Don't spend everything simply because you earned it. Chapter 8. Your relationship with debt. Debt is not always identical. Some debt may finance something productive. Other debt may simply finance consumption. The important question isn't only, how much debt do I have? Ask, what is this debt doing to my future? Debt can reduce flexibility. It can create stress. It can make tomorrow's income already belong to yesterday's purchases. Before borrowing money, understand the cost. Interest matters. Fees matter. Repayment terms matter. And your ability to repay matters. Don't borrow simply because something is available on credit. Credit can create the illusion that you have more money than you actually do. You don't. Borrowing gives you access to money now, and financial maturity means understanding that every financial decision has consequences. Sometimes saying, "I can't afford it," is not weakness. It is wisdom. Chapter 9. The power of delayed gratification. One of the greatest financial skills is the ability to wait. We live in an age of instant gratification. Instant shopping. Instant entertainment. Instant food delivery. Instant approval. Instant information. But wealth is rarely instant. It usually requires patience. Imagine having two choices. You can spend a small amount today on something you don't really need. Or you can keep that money and gradually build a financial cushion. The first choice provides immediate pleasure. The second provides future security. Neither decision is automatically right or wrong, but repeated choices create a pattern. If you constantly sacrifice your future for your present, your future eventually becomes difficult. If you constantly sacrifice your present for the future, you may forget to live. The goal is balance. Enjoy today. Prepare for tomorrow. Spend consciously. Save consistently. Invest carefully after learning what you're doing. And remember, you don't need to deny yourself everything. You simply need to stop letting every desire become an instruction. Chapter 10. Make money work with you. There is a limit to how many hours you can work. Your time is finite. This is why learning about assets and investments can become important as your financial knowledge grows. The basic idea is simple. Instead of only exchanging your time for money, you can eventually own things that may produce value or income. Businesses, investments, intellectual property, digital products, other productive assets. But there is an important warning. Every investment carries risk. Never invest money you cannot afford to lose simply because someone promises extraordinary returns. Learn first. Understand what you are buying. Understand the risks. Understand fees. Understand diversification. And remember that legitimate wealth building is usually slower and more boring than social media makes it appear. There is no magical investment that guarantees effortless wealth. If someone promises huge returns with no meaningful risk, be extremely cautious. Chapter 11. Multiple income streams. You may eventually hear, never depend on one income. The idea has some wisdom behind it, but it can also be misunderstood. You don't need 5 businesses tomorrow. Trying to create 10 income streams before you have one stable income stream can create chaos. Start with 1. Build competence. Then consider additional sources. For example, someone might have a primary job, freelance work, a small business, investment income, digital products, royalties. The possibilities vary enormously. But remember, multiple income streams don't mean multiple distractions. They mean multiple productive systems built carefully over time. First, build one strong foundation. Then expand. Chapter 12. Failure is information. Many people are afraid of financial failure. They think, if this doesn't work, I'm finished. But failure doesn't always mean the end. Sometimes it means information. A product doesn't sell. What did customers teach you? A job application gets rejected. What can you improve? An investment performs poorly. Did you understand the risk properly? Failure becomes dangerous when we refuse to learn from it. But failure becomes valuable when it teaches us something. You don't need to romanticize failure. Failure can hurt. It can cost money. It can damage confidence. But you can still ask, what is this experience teaching me? That question turns pain into education. Chapter 13. Discipline beats motivation. Motivation is wonderful, but motivation comes and goes. Some mornings you feel unstoppable. Other mornings you don't want to do anything. That's normal. If your financial progress depends entirely on motivation, it will be inconsistent. Discipline creates structure. You save even when you don't feel like saving. You learn even when you're tired. You track expenses even when it's boring. You continue building even when nobody notices. You keep improving when results are slow. Success often looks dramatic from the outside, but behind it are thousands of ordinary decisions. 1 hour. 1 page. 1 customer. 1 saved amount. 1 lesson. 1 improvement. Repeated. And repeated again. Chapter 14. Don't compare your Chapter 1 with someone else's Chapter 20. Social media creates a dangerous illusion. You see someone's success. You don't see their years of struggle. You see the business. You don't see the failed attempts. You see the house. You don't see the financial decisions behind it. You see the celebration. You don't see the difficult days. Comparison can destroy motivation because you are comparing incomplete stories. Your journey is yours. Maybe you're starting later. Maybe you have fewer resources. Maybe your responsibilities are different. Maybe your path will take longer. That's okay. Your responsibility isn't to become someone else. Your responsibility is to become better than the person you were yesterday. Progress doesn't have to look impressive. It only has to be real. Chapter 15. Your environment matters. Your financial habits are influenced by the people around you. If everyone around you constantly spends, you may normalize spending. If everyone around you talks about learning, building, saving, and improving, those behaviors may become normal too. This doesn't mean abandoning people who think differently. It means becoming conscious of influence. Ask yourself, who influences my financial decisions? What content am I consuming? What do I hear every day? What behaviors am I normalizing? Your mind is like soil. What you repeatedly plant matters. Fill your mind with fear, comparison, and negativity, and those thoughts can become difficult to escape. Fill it with knowledge, curiosity, discipline, and possibility, and you give yourself better material to work with. Chapter 16. The real meaning of financial freedom. Financial freedom doesn't necessarily mean owning a private island. It may mean something much simpler. Being able to handle an emergency without panic. Being able to leave an unhealthy job because you have savings. Being able to support your family. Being able to take a break. Being able to make decisions based on values rather than desperation. Money cannot solve every problem, but financial stability can remove certain forms of unnecessary stress. That is valuable. The goal is not to spend your entire life chasing money. The goal is to build enough financial strength that money becomes a tool rather than a constant source of fear. Because what is the point of becoming wealthy if you lose your health, relationships, peace, and integrity along the way? Money should serve your life. Your life should not become a servant of money. Chapter 17. Start where you are. Maybe you're listening to this and thinking, but I have almost nothing. Then begin with knowledge. If you don't have capital, build skills. If you don't have experience, gain experience. If you don't have connections, build relationships. If you don't have confidence, take small actions. If you've made mistakes, learn from them. If you're behind, begin anyway. You don't need to solve your entire financial life today. You need to make your next intelligent decision. Maybe that decision is tracking your spending. Maybe it's learning a skill. Maybe it's reducing unnecessary expenses. Maybe it's creating a realistic savings goal. Maybe it's researching a business idea. Maybe it's paying down expensive debt. Maybe it's simply admitting, I need to learn more about money. That's not failure. That's the beginning. Chapter 18. A new financial identity. At some point, you must stop saying, I'm bad with money. Replace it with, I'm learning how to manage money. Don't say, I'll never be wealthy. Say, I don't know yet what my financial future will look like, but I can improve my skills. Don't say, I have no opportunities. Ask, what opportunities might I be overlooking? Language matters because the words you repeat become part of your identity. Your identity influences your behavior. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you're incapable, you may stop trying. If you tell yourself that you're learning, you create room for growth. You don't need false confidence. You need honest optimism. You can acknowledge reality while still believing improvement is possible. Chapter 19. The 1-Year Challenge. Imagine what could happen if you dedicated the next year to becoming financially smarter. Not overnight. Not through gambling. Not through magical shortcuts. 1 year. During that year, you could learn how budgeting works. Study personal finance. Improve one valuable skill. Explore ways to increase your income. Build an emergency fund if possible. Reduce unnecessary spending. Understand debt. Learn the basics of investing. Experiment with a small business or side project if appropriate. Read. Practice. Track. Review. Improve. At the end of the year, you may not be rich, but you could be a completely different person. More knowledgeable. More disciplined. More confident. More capable. And that transformation is valuable, because the greatest financial asset you can build is not only your bank balance. It is your ability to make better financial decisions. Chapter 20. Money begins in the mind. And now we return to the beginning. Money begins in the mind. Not because thoughts magically create money, but because your thoughts influence your actions. Your beliefs influence your decisions. Your decisions create habits. Your habits create patterns. Your patterns influence your financial future. So change the thinking. Then change the behavior. Learn before you leap. Spend consciously. Save consistently. Increase your value. Build useful skills. Avoid unnecessary debt. Invest carefully. Create opportunities. Be patient. And most importantly, don't give up simply because progress is slow. A financial transformation rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It happens quietly. One decision at a time. One skill at a time. One saved amount at a time. One opportunity at a time. 1 year at a time. Final message. Your future is still being written. Perhaps you've made financial mistakes. Almost everyone has. Perhaps you've wasted money. Perhaps you've trusted the wrong people. Perhaps you've started businesses that didn't work. Perhaps you've made decisions you regret. Don't spend the rest of your life punishing yourself for decisions made with the knowledge you had at the time. Learn. Take responsibility. Then move forward. Your past can explain you. It does not have to define you. You can become financially wiser. You can become more disciplined. You can become more valuable. You can learn to manage what you have. You can learn to create more value. You can learn to build. And you can begin today. Not tomorrow. Not when you become rich. Not when everything becomes perfect. Today. Look at your financial life honestly. Ask yourself, where am I? Where do I want to go? What is holding me back? What can I learn? What can I change? What is one action I can take today? Then take that action. Because a better financial future doesn't begin when you suddenly have more money. It begins when you become capable of handling more money. It begins when you stop thinking only about what you can buy and start thinking about what you can build. It begins when you stop asking, how can I look successful? And start asking, how can I become valuable? It begins when you stop waiting for someone to rescue you and start taking responsibility for the things within your control. And above all, it begins in your mind. Your thoughts are not your destiny, but they can become the starting point for your decisions. Your decisions can become your habits. Your habits can become your life. So think carefully. Learn continuously. Build patiently. Spend wisely. Create value. And never underestimate what a person can accomplish when their thinking, actions, and patience finally move in the same direction. Money begins in the mind, but wealth is built through action. So don't just change the way you think about money. Change what you do with that thinking. Start small. Start today. And keep going.